Welcome to another crafty video. Today's one is looking at the Autumn Archives collection from Spellbinders, designed by Kelly Bangs, and it has got 4 beautiful autumnal themed die sets in here, but they don't have to be autumnal themed. Some of them can be all year round, like the trees. You can change what the trees look like for the different seasons, and you also have an alphabet in here, which actually reminds me more of like the Wild West and like a wanted poster or something. So you could do some really fun ideas just with that alphabet die set as well. But let's have a look at all 4 of the die sets. So this first one with the trees is called Changing Leaves. So you've actually got 3 gorgeous tree trunks here, and then you have 3 clusters of foliage to go on them, but you have the outside edge and you have the cut detail, so you can actually just do blobby, modern, stylized sort of trees with the blobby design behind the beautiful branches on them. Or you can have the pattern behind the branches, or you can just put it in front of the branches as well and cover up those branches, but just have more of the trunk of the tree with the gorgeous foliage, leafy kind of portion on the top of the tree. There's a bunch of different ways of using this, and you can also use the negatives of these as well and create some cool effects too. One of the ideas, I didn't actually get around to doing it in the end, but I think if you picked one of these, cut it as an aperture into your card, put acetate behind it, and then used either something like the Golden Aces from Nouveau and Tonic that are just leaf sequins, or something like the Lilac Bloom, which are beautiful tiny flower sequins depending on what kind of season you're going for, and turn it into a shaker, and then put the corresponding branchy tree trunk on top of the acetate coming off of the tree. I think that would look phenomenal on a card, and I was going to do it, but I think I changed that design and ended up doing something different to it. But I think that would work really, really nicely to create a beautiful little shaker tree with fallen leaves in there. Or I was thinking, if you didn't have leaf confetti, the Cheerful Chirps, we called Cheerful Chirps? I think it was the bird collection that I showed a couple of months back. I'm sure that had a really tiny leaf die in it, and that would work really nicely just to cut a few of those, mix them in with maybe some sequins or some glitter or micro beads or something, and have them shaking in one of these trees as well. I think that would work really nicely. But these are absolutely beautiful and can also work as branches as well. Specifically this one could be a lovely branch, or this one maybe you could snip part of it off and it could be a beautiful branch with a robin or some kind of bird or one of the Cheerful Chirps or something sitting on top of it as well. So that is the first collection, or the first die set, which is called Changing Leaves. Then this one here is called Falling Leaves. So you've got all sorts of autumnal foliage on here, and this one is beautiful. I loved this one because you have different sizes of them as well. So you've got 2 of this sort of style of acorn. Maybe this is a chestnut actually. These are acorns, these are chestnuts perhaps. But you've got 2 sizes of acorns, plus you have their little hats as well. So you can cut them out of a different colour and add them on the top, make it really quick and easy and simple. And then you have 2 of either this style of an acorn, or it could be a chestnut. I'm not actually sure what a chestnut looks like. But I presume it would look similar to an acorn or a conker. So this could be a chestnut, or it could be another type of acorn. But you've got these as well with their little caps too, so you can easily add those on as well. And then you have 4 different shapes of leaves. This one really reminds me of an old Spellbinders die set. I think I used it quite a few times years ago in my sped up videos, because it was just such a beautiful shaped leaf, and this really reminds me of that one. But you actually have the 4 different shapes of leaves, and you have their veining as well. So you can cut these separately from a different colour and stick them on, but not only is that just really nice to have them to stick on, I've said that before with the Tonic die set where they had the separate veins for a holly leaf die, but because they have this debossing outline of this, they just like nestle perfectly into position, so you're going to get them in the perfect place every time. There's no guesswork of where they need to go, because they just perfectly nestle in. It's like the beveled cut edge of the back of the die cut of the veining just perfectly nestles into that debossed edging that's on there. Absolutely beautiful it is, and they work really, really nicely to create lots of foliage on your cards as well. So they're really gorgeous. Plus, you can also use the negatives of them, and you can even stencil the negatives too. You could stencil the leaf in a colour and then place your stalky piece over the top and then stencil that in a dark brown, and you could create some really cool layered stenciled effect. And you could do the same thing with your acorns as well. You just have to be very careful when inking through these ones because they're quite close together in like the negative aperture, but you definitely could do some really cool stenciled effects with these beautiful leaves as well. If you didn't want to, maybe you want to cover a background in leaves but you don't fancy cutting the same leaf out like 20 times or something, going for using the aperture and creating a stenciled effect is a quicker way of doing something like that. So those are the first two die sets. Then the other two die sets in this collection, well, the top one is a bit different. It's actually just a tag kind of die set, and it's called Documenting Labels. So I'm guessing this is more for journaling and things like that, but you definitely could use these as gift tags and add the trees and things onto there and make them a little bit bigger with some embellishments on there too. But you've got a bunch of different ones in here, some that have like an extra matte layer that could possibly stick behind it to give you a different colour as well. And then you also have these debossy, cutty kind of words like I showed you in that gifting bow die set, the Christmassy one. They're the same kind of words like that they actually push the card out where the letters are, so it's almost like a stenciled effect. And you've got the words leaves, noted, autumn, seasons, cozy and fall as well. So wherever you are in the world you've got autumn and fall. And then you even have the little eyelet to go around the holes on a couple of the tags as well, or you could punch your own hole in some of these and put the eyelet around them as well. Just a lovely little set. I think I mostly use the words from this rather than any of the tag shapes, but I have cut them all out so I can show you those later on to sort of see the sizes of all of those tags together. And then the fourth die set is called Autumn Alpha, and you have an entire alphabet from A to Z with all of these beautiful bubble kind of letters, which really does look more like a Western sort of style to me, but it works really nicely for autumn as well. Plus the apertures look really cool as well, and I've actually used the word thanks as an aperture because I was cutting the word thanks anyway, and I actually cut it twice because I was using some of the letters for something else. And the first time I cut it I thought, if I put those letters in the right order rather than having them muddled up, I can actually use the aperture of the word thanks and it would look really nice. So that's what I did, and then I created another card showing that as well. So that is the gorgeous Autumn Alpha die set as well. So let's have a look at the cards that I created. So for this first card, I just really wanted to do like a scattered effect with those beautiful leaves and acorns from the Falling Leaves die set. And chestnuts possibly, if they are chestnuts or they're just a different type of acorn. And to colour all of these, I just cut all of them from white card, and then I just used my distress watercolour pencils and coloured them in. And then once I'd got a base layer on there, I just added like another layer of extra shading, did a bit of splattering on here, and in some areas where I wanted an even darker tone, I squished out some of my ground espresso ink pad, because I don't actually have anything darker than walnut stain as a brown in my pencils, so I squished out some of the ground espresso distress ink and used that a little bit to get some extra depth on the stalks and on the caps of the acorns as well. And then I just arranged them all in a beautiful scattered kind of pattern. I used 3 of the words from the Documenting Labels die set, the Cozy, Autumn and Leaves. I thought that made a nice little sentiment on there, Cozy Autumn Leaves. And then I don't know if you can actually see much of it left on there, but I did actually splatter, you can see a little bit of it twinkling, splatter some Midas Touch from Nuvo, you know, the aqua shimmers, onto the pieces as I was watercolouring them as well. And then I just sort of went through my stash to find a Nuvo glitter drop that would match, and I ended up picking, what colour is this? Honey Gold as the colour that went nicely, and I just did a bunch of Nouveau drops all over to kind of fill in this sort of scattered design on here as well. And I think that turned out quite nicely. A very simple card, but playing with your watercolour pencils and things as well to add a bit of colour onto the design. Then the rest of these, yeah, they're all using more of those leftover, oh no, that was a different video. They're all using backgrounds that I created in other videos or ages ago. I tend to keep, actually I've still got some of the orange ones here I picked out. I tend to keep all of these random backgrounds that I have created and that are leftovers. Two of the cards actually use backgrounds similar to this. This was an A4 piece. I filmed it. You'll probably remember a sped up video similar. It was a similar background. But I did film this one as well in the intention of finishing off the cards and turning it into video, but that was probably like 2 years ago now. I probably still have the footage for it somewhere, but now I've used part of it. But this is what I tend to do. I tend to make a bunch of backgrounds and then have all things left over. Some of these are really old. This is Cosmic Shimmer watercolour inks. This is Arteza neon paints in my salad spinner. This is Dina Wakley gloss sprays. This is Arteza pouring paints. That's also Arteza pouring paints. This was some of the mica pigments from Cosmic Shimmer, watering them down and using cling film on them. These are some of Dina Wakley's vibrant acrylic paints. This is more of Jamie's glossy glazes that I put into little bottles. I explained this in another video, but I have a feeling that video is going to go up after this video now. But anyway, it was another different background that I had been playing around with. This was, I think this was texture paste. I think I'd mixed texture paste in with some sort of coloured medium because it's very textured and glossy. And then, as I said, this was like a masterboard kind of background that I just chopped into the 4 pieces, just playing around with different sized paint brushes to make different marks with acrylic paints, and also using like a gift card to make straight lines and things in there as well. But I love to keep a whole box of backgrounds, and I am planning on doing some more background videos. But anyway, back to the cards. This background is actually from when I did a video on Arteza's metallic watercolour 24 pan set, and this was using those metallic watercolours. So if you like the look of these, that's the Arteza metallic watercolour pan set. I don't know if they still, I don't know if you can really still buy Arteza stuff. They seem to like disappear, so I'm not sure if you can still buy them, but that is what I used on this. I think I was doing a comparison between the watercolours that I had made versus the Arteza ones, because there was a couple of different backgrounds like this in my background box, but I think this was the Arteza one. But yeah, I've just added one of the trees onto there. I've used the word thanks. I've also shadowed the word thanks with white so it stands out a little bit more. And then I've used the word autumn, cut it from the glazed chestnut pearlescent cardstock from Tonic, and then matted it onto white as well. All of the dark brown is the glazed chestnut, and the gold behind there is the majestic gold as well. It's a little bit on the duller side. I probably should have used more of a bright gold, but I think it works all the same. So that is just a really simple card using the little tree. Then I've got 2 cards using those wacky backgrounds just to sort of play around with different designs and things. This one was kept very simple, just die cutting all of the pieces out of different colours, and I actually just went through my stash and found a cardstock colour that matched this paint that I'd used on here. It's not quite 100% of a match, but it's on the same colour tone. And then I've also used the glazed chestnut and then white card and just mixed them up, and I've done Get Well as the sentiment, and I've layered up the white with the glazed chestnut behind. I've also used a piece of the Tonic gold vellum behind there as well, and then just played around with mixing the different tones of leaves and acorns and things on this one just to add an extra design. And the reason why I went with the glazed chestnut is because this really dark metallic, it's one of Dina Wakley's, I can't remember the name of it, but the really dark metallic that she has, it kind of matched that. And then obviously I picked another cardstock to kind of match in as well, and I obviously always use white card blanks and things, so that's how I got to those colours from this background. So that's that one. And then this one is using the waste from when I was die cutting the word thanks for this card here. So we've got the word thanks in negative form, and you can see how nice it looks. And I even still had that tiny triangle from the word A, or from the letter A, on this one. And I was using the same die cuts, omitting that mid-grey kind of colour that I had been using, just using the white and the glazed chestnut on these ones. And here I have put the branches over the top of the white detail cut ones. It does make it a little bit busy looking, but I think it still looks fine, especially when you've got such a contrast between the dark branches and the white foliage kind of pieces. I think it works quite well. So that's just another quick and simple card just to show how you can use a few more of these elements. And then this one, this was another leftover background. I think that was just watercolours that I had been using. It did have a bit of a different colour on it as well. I can't actually remember what that was, that background, but it was some sort of leftover watercolour-y background from whatever project I'd been working on, and I trimmed it down to a background size. And I just decided I was going to use it as the background, but then I thought, well, it's the perfect colour for autumnal trees, so I just cut all 3 of the blobby shapes from that background piece, and then I used the glazed chestnut branches over the top again. And then I was going to put the word birthday directly onto my card blank, but the trees would have been too close to the top of the card because I needed the word to sort of come up a little bit more. So I just stuck it onto another piece of white card, cut it into a rectangle, and that way I could overlap the bottoms of the trees. I could have just snipped them off, to be honest, and still put the word on there, but these already had dimension to them, so it's quite nice to make the sentiment have dimension as well. And I just used the word cozy from the documenting label set, and then I used the word birthday from the autumn alphas. So these ones are very simple cards for this collection because I was mostly just focusing on the beautiful autumnal colours and using up some backgrounds from my stash. So they're very simple kind of cards. Not simple if you created the backgrounds for them, I guess, but simple for me because all I was doing was die cutting the bits and pieces and putting them on top, and then for this one doing a little bit of watercolouring. But I really enjoyed making all of these, so hopefully they're a nice sort of inspiration for you using this collection or any other autumnal kind of collections you have in your stash. And then I thought I would just show you some of the other pieces that I have got cut out. You can see I had leftovers of all of these bits and pieces here. When I was initially cutting these, I did the whole alphabet like this because I thought maybe you could do some sort of mixed media idea. Obviously I didn't put them all quite the right way around, like that E is backwards. But, you know, if you did put them the right way around, you could use them in that kind of fashion as well. Then, did I keep... Yes, I did keep this piece. I'm going to show you the stenciling idea as well, because I think that would be really cool. And then I've got a few of, like, the tree trunks and things left over, and we could actually stencil with the trees as well to show you that kind of concept too, but they give really cool apertures, and even this one by itself is, I do have a spare one of this, it's just a really cool blobby shape. You know, if you just had a small little character that you needed to mount onto a shape on your card, it's just a cool little blobby shape that works really nicely. Cut them out of a few bright colours, put them in different orientations on your card. It could be splats of paint as well, that. So a really nice different sort of shape, that one. And I did want to quickly show you all of the ones from the documenting label set as well. So I have cut all of them out, I just didn't end up using them for my project. But we've got all of these beautiful label shapes, lots of little rectangles that will work really nicely for stamping your sentiments onto, or debossing these sentiments into as well. They're obviously designed to work like that, but these are, I think that's all of them. These are all of the different shapes that you get in there. So you get the circle and the sort of traditional tag shape, and you can use the hole reinforcer on there. And then some of them have the beautiful debossing details around the edge of them as well, and you've just got a lovely selection of different rectangles and things in here, and like rounded ones. These actually layer behind here as well, so you can do a really cool layered up kind of label effect as well. So I thought I'd just quickly show you all of them. And then, whilst you're here, I might as well show you this stenciling idea that I was trying to explain earlier. I'll just use a piece of my normal size card to show you. Do I actually do it so I can make a real card from this? Maybe I should. Okay, I'm going to then take some of the tonic dye tape, which is an extremely low tack tape, and it's great for stenciling. I personally don't think it's very good for die cutting because of the way that I die cut, but if you're a normal person who die cuts a normal amount, it probably is adequate for die cutting. But because I'm always die cutting so much, it loses its stick after I've only die cut things a couple of times, so I tend to go for the Scotch tape, you know, the removable one. But let's just bring in a couple of green tones, and let's go with ripe persimmon as well to bring in a orangey kind of tone on here. I feel like that card is very off-white colour, but we'll go with it. So let's bring in a couple of these, and let's just get a few green tones on here. And you can see how we're just using this gorgeous tree as a stencil. And we'll bring in a little bit of the mowed lawn as well. And then we can bring in some of the ripe persimmon on the other side. Okay, so we've got our sort of roughly ink blended tree there. Then, if we peel this off, you can see we've got our gorgeous tree, like that. Then we can take the coordinating tree trunk die cut piece as well, which I think is supposed to line up about there. You can obviously refer back to your packaging to see exactly where it is meant to line up. And we're just going to mask off the areas that we don't want to ink from all of the surrounding pieces. And then get our brown brush, and let's go with ground espresso. And then my oh, you can't actually see it from up there, it's got gold on it from where I was using it when I was using Midas Touch. And then just build up the colour to try and get a nice deep dark brown as your gorgeous branches and trunk on here. Okay, and then we should have our finished tree. Look how well that works. Just using your negative pieces to create a beautiful stenciled tree design. Plus, if I get another piece of card, we can also do it with the leaves as well. So you can, let's go with this gorgeous leaf here. Mask off anything we don't want. I won't do every leaf because we'll be here for ages, but I'll just go with one so you can sort of see the concept of this, of how you can actually just build up your own designs using your negatives of your die cuts. Okay, we've got that one, and then the one that goes with it I think is the one that's underneath this bit of tape here. Or does it go that way? Is it that one that... Yes, it is that one. It goes down lower, that's why. About there, I think. A little bit trickier to line up where it's supposed to actually go. So maybe you could stencil the leaves but still die cut the vein portions as well, as another different version of this too. Got another piece of tape. Let's go that bit there. Okay, and then back with our brown. Obviously this could be a darker green tone as well, it doesn't have to be brown, but that's just the colour that I've got out. And then we've got our gorgeous little stenciled leaf as well, and you can repeat that all over your background to create a quicker, because I mean I'm just using this piece because that's how I die cut them, but if you knew you were going to use the same leaf over and over, die cut it from a bigger piece of card, and then you wouldn't have to mask off every time, and you could just keep moving it across your background. And same with your little stalk as well, you wouldn't have to use as much tape if you were deliberately using or die cutting your pieces to act as stencils as well, rather than just using your leftovers that are there. But I think that works really, really nicely, and it's just another way that you can use these beautiful autumn archives dies and the falling leaves and changing leaves in particular. So I hope you enjoyed this video looking at the Autumn Archives collection from Spellbinders and Kelly Bangs as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye!